There's nearly 1,000 LEGO Star Wars sets. Here's me scoring every single one of them, part 1. I'm giving a 7 out of 10 on Lightsaber Duel. The figures are great, the silver handles are amazing. The builds have a lot to be desired, but it's also very, very old and very, very cheap. Even though this land speeder is really basic and it looks basically just like a brick, I gotta give LEGO credit for the fact that it still looks like a land speeder without you even have to look at the title. You know that's a land speeder. I'm still giving that a 5 out of 10. The only thing that saves this set from being absolutely abysmal is the fact you get 4 whole figures in this tiny little thing. Builds are one of the ugliest things you can ever get though. This is like a 1 to a 2 out of 10. This is the oldest LEGO set I personally have, and I'm not gonna lie, they killed it with the look of the Vulture droid and they haven't changed much since. I'm actually giving this an 8 out of 10. Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set part 2. Now, unlike the Stap set, they nailed the speeder bike look. And honestly, 2 great Scout figures that they barely changed over time, and an amazing Luke Skywalker figure. I love this set. This is a 9 out of 10. Decent snow speeder, but they did make it gray, so that takes it down a little bit. But the head on the figure also really gets me, because that's like one of the weirdest reuses LEGO's ever done. But since the snow speeder's still really good, this is 7 out of 10. Now this pod racer is where we fall a little bit. I never liked the way that the tan bricks connected the two. Also, it's not purple in between, it's an orange. I know it's nitpicking, but there's like nothing else to this set but that speeder. So I gotta give it like a 4 out of 10. But for the X-Wing, they did nail it again. Of course, it's gray, so that's gonna notch it down a little bit. But 6 out of 10 because they also nailed the pilot figure. Let me know in the comments what you would grade these sets. Scoring every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 3. The build for this Naboo fighter is very, very tight. Just a little too bulky in the middle and not long enough. I will give it credit for adding 2 extra battle droids, but it's still like a 4 out of 10 in my eyes. Now this is where they're cooking. A 2-in-1 set's always going to give you points from me. My issue with this set is you can tell that they focused mostly on the Y-Wing, because the Darth Vader TIE Fighter looks very, very basic, and there's only a couple bricks there, especially holding the wings together. I gotta give it a 7 out of 10 because I don't really like the TIE Fighter, but I do like the Y-Wing. This sucks. Just look at it. Every Sith infiltrator after this is way, way better. 2 out of 10. But what would y'all rate these sets? Grading every single LEGO Star Wars set part 4. This is a rare case where LEGO has only made 2 of these to my knowledge, and this one's pretty dang good. I like the domes, I like the back printing, I like the tentacles around the back. They did decent on this Gungan, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. The biggest set of the first wave. I do like that there's still a pod racer in this set we've never gotten before. Little side builds too. It's not too bad. Give this one a 7 out of 10. They give you a great desert skiff to start out. Yes, it's basic, but this is one of the better ones you get for the first go around. I always love a silver hilt and the figures are good. Not bad for this set. 7 out of 10. But what would y'all rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set part 5. Oh man, how I wish we got more of these. Of course, they're not all made equal, but this original one with the Palpatine, the Vader, the Maul, it's a 9 out of 10 for me. I love the cards. I love the variety. This one's almost equally as good. You get the Han, you get the Luke, you get the Boba. Another 9 out of 10. Now we slip because you give us 2 of the same character. There was only 4 of these to ever be made, and 2 of them give you duplicates. 6 out of 10. But now you're gonna give us duplicates of battle droids? Yeah, this one's a 4. But what would y'all rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set part 6. Out of the OG trio, X-Wing, Y-Wing, A-Wing, I think this one is easily the worst. The figure selection is pretty bad in comparison to what the other ones give you as well. I'm really not a fan of the blocky design of this one. This one's a 3 out of 10. Smiley faces clash back with the flash speeder, and honestly, I like this one a bit better. We've only gotten 2 of these in total, and this one's not too bad. This is a 6 out of 10. Now, this is where OG Star Wars peaked. The freaking Fadu in this, the cart, the Gungans, the shield printed. I actually love this one. This is a 9 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 7. The OG Slave 1 might be the worst case of this looks way too blocky. Every single version since it looks astoundingly better. But the Boba and the Carbonite are still so good to this day, so honestly I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. I can't believe these were released in the same year. The Slave 1 being so blocky and so ugly, and this looking so sleek and so good even to this day with the printed domes on the bottom. This is a 9 out of 10. Now for the pod racing bucket, which I only found out about this year. I like the variety of the pod racers. Of course, their builds aren't the greatest thing. The fact they give you 3 pod racers and none of the drivers is just kind of a joke. So I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, Part 8. In the year 2000, we got our first UCS sets, and the TIE Interceptor does come in swinging. I love the blue little accents they got, like all the old school TIEs. I love the octagon shape for the cockpit. I don't think any other one since had that. And when it's on the display on the stand, it's facing upwards. This is a really good start for UCS. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. But when we tilt over to the X-Wing side, I don't like it as much. The really pointy brick-built nose on this one doesn't work as good as the sloped ones in the future. I'm also much more of a fan of the TIE Fighters when they're made in the white instead of the gray. Even if it's accurate, I don't really care. I just think it looks really bland. But for the wing design and the shape otherwise, it's still pretty good, so I gotta give it a 7 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, Part 9. The B-Wing isn't my favorite, but I do love the fact that they gave a little control center there. Some printed screens, some little control panels, a little cart. I like this one altogether as a set. This is an 8 out of 10. And then for the MTT, of course, this is the worst one we've gotten. Anytime you see just flat panels on the side with no brick decorations, this is just bad. Of course, it's nice to get like 8 battle droids, but this is still a 5 out of 10. But I do like the first Falcon. In fact, this is the only one to ever get like a sloped dome that's printed. I kind of like, but of course, flat areas with no details takes it down a notch. So this is only a 7 out of 10 for me. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, Part 10. In 2000, we got 3 LEGO Technic Star Wars sets. Never before and never after have we had the sets labeled like this. And honestly, I think the pit droid might be the best of them all. I like the tube to wrap around and make it circular. This one I think holds up the best, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. And now for the one I think holds up the worst, the battle droid. That head looks really funky, but somehow you still manage to get the chest, the posture, everything looks pretty decent on him anyway, so it's still a 6 out of 10 for me. And then right in the middle of the two, you got a Droideka, and I honestly think this hits right at the 7 out of 10. The eyes look a little funky, but the shape is still pretty good, but we definitely got a better Droideka this year. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, Part 11. I guess this set is really nice if you didn't get C-3PO and the Millennium Falcon the year before, but otherwise, nothing too crazy special about this set. The escape pod's fine, it's an even 5 out of 10 for me. But the droid carrier's so good they barely changed anything about it since. It's also crazy that the pilot droid in this set is still unique to this day. Not too bad, I give it an 8 out of 10. And the Imperial AT-ST, while it's decent for a first try, you can definitely look back at this and see that LEGO has grown a long way. This is a 3 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, Part 12. The first time we get a TIE Fighter is 2 years later. For a first go around, this isn't too bad. They don't change much on this for years to come, and that proves that it's good. This is a 7 out of 10. The Imperial Shuttle is also pretty decent. The shape of the cockpit's a little weird, but I like the guards. I like the Palpatine. It's a pretty good set all around. It's another 7 out of 10 for me. What weird figures in this Watto's Junkyard? You get Watto and you get that weird little guy that's sitting in the freaking pod racer. But I like what we get here. It's unique. It's different than anything we get today. But of course, I do not like the pod racers that have the little tan bars going throughout it. And I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 again. 7s across the board today. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, Part 13. We finally made it, boys. We found a 1 out of 10. These Technic sets, they had them last year. They don't this year. And I don't feel fair enough giving a 0, so I'm going to give another 1 to the Stormtrooper because he gives you the big blaster bullet. And then on the opposite end, we get one of the most interesting sets of any year ever. The Darth Maul bust is so cool. Pure brick. It's so old school. It's so classic. Everyone wishes they had it. This is an 8 out of 10 for me. And now for the only UCS set of the year, they nailed it again. I bet you it was really flimsy at the time. And plus we've gotten better tantives since, so honestly 7 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, Part 14. Now that we reached 2002, it is the year of Attack of the Clones. In one of the first sets we see the Jedi Duel. This is a goated one. The introduction of Yoda, one of the most goated figures of all time. The introduction of Dooku with an amazing curved saber they did not need to do. Plus his speeder's pretty cool. I don't really care about that little side build, but this is dope. This is 9 out of 10. While not as special as the last, the Tusken Raider encounter. 2 Tusken Raiders, cool speeder bike, Anakin Skywalker. It's pretty dang good. This is an 8 out of 10 for me. And then I'm not so high on the Cloud Car. I get that we get to Cloud City this year, but the Cloud Car, at least you get Lobot. The set's just kinda ugly and bland. It's a 3 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 15. And we're just gonna get out of the way. I think Bounty Hunter Pursuit is the first 10 out of 10 LEGO Star Wars that's ever dropped. The ships look amazing, the figures are great. Maybe it's also the fact we've never gotten another one since, but this set, perfect to me. And while this one is good, it upgraded the speeder bikes a little bit. It just doesn't have a whole lot. I do think the glider's really good, but the Ewoks do need some work. So this is a 7 out of 10 for me. And then for Jedi Starfighter, yeah, it's good, but it's also very, very flat. Every other one has the angle to it, and it makes them look better. So for this one, even 5 out of 10 for me. But what would you rate these sets? Grading every LEGO Star Wars set ever. Part 16. 2002 had a weird case of re-releases, so 7 out of 10, same as before. And the X-Wing's still a 6 out of 10, nothing really changes. But then we get interesting, Jango Slave 1. Until this year, we're not getting another one of these. And for the design, it still looks pretty good. Jango figure legendary, not one of my favorites, but still a 9 out of 10. And this should be absolutely legendary. This should be a 10 out of 10, but I'm not gonna lie. The idea that this gunship can just open up in the front for the play feature is just so weird to me. So this is a 9 out of 10. Otherwise, blue figures, Jedi Bob, Droideka, Clone Troopers, this is a perfect set. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 17. Last year, LEGO gave us a Maul Bust, and this time they gave us a full Yoda. And they've released Yodas, or at least Grogu since then, that just look way better than this. The face on this is super freaky looking. And on the face alone, I gotta give this a 4 out of 10. But now swapping over to something that's a little quaint. Just a couple little builds, but you definitely know that that's that Death Star throne room. Nothing special, but it's a nice 6 out of 10. This one I actually own sealed, but it's very much not special at all. Just because the blandness of the build alone, I'm giving this a 4 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Grading every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 18. This might be a disgustingly simple set on the surface, but the fact that LEGO nailed the Droideka and has never managed to make a better one since kind of proves that this is great. I wish there was a build involved, but since there isn't, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. And even though there's a build involved in this one, it's not too special, but I'll give them credit. The two droids are really cool. So 6 out of 10 on this. Look at what they did to my boy. We're back in the trenches with this one. I thought the Stormtrooper was bad. This might be a new low. 1 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 19. For a while we were getting the low of the low with these Technic sets, and while the legs do look really skinny and lame here, the helmet, the body, even the pistols, pretty decent, I'm not gonna lie. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. And the Vader somehow looks even better. If it wasn't for the claw hands, I'd give this a pretty high score, but it's like a 7 out of 10. And while the Super Battle Droid is the worst of these three, it's still miles better than the other ones, so it's still a 5 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 20. When I originally started 2002, I remembered it for sets like this. Chrome, sleek, perfect. Not the Technic side builds that tanked the score for the year, but this one in particular, 10 out of 10. It's the second one we've ever gotten. And this makes a pretty good run-in for another top tier LEGO Star Wars set. But I just see what the new UCS Star Destroyer looks like, and I know that that's a 10, so in turn, this one isn't. So it's about an 8. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 21. 2002 ends with duo sets, and this is easily the worst. You get a 1 out of 10 and a 1 out of 10, so a 2 out of 10, sure. And then this combo set is so obscure that Brickset doesn't have a high enough quality picture to put on their website. But yeah, of course they don't, because this box design looks garbage. It's a 5 out of 10. It's worse than both of the sets on their own. But then this bad boy's interesting. I think everybody knows about this as being disgustingly rare. And yeah, I'll admit, it's kind of cool. It's still a 9 out of 10. The carrier case doesn't make it a 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set of all time, part 22. In 2003, we got our first poly bag, and oh boy, it's just a TIE Fighter with like 8 pieces. It's fine, but you see them get way, way better. It's like a 3 out of 10. And then we get Jabba's message, which is fine. I really like the eye in the doorway, and I like that the other sets kind of just correlate with this and make just a much bigger diorama at the end of the day. It's a 6 out of 10. And then this one I think is slightly cooler just because of the figure selection. You get a Boba, you get a Gamorrean guard, that axe is really cool, and then a Han Solo and Carbonite. Pretty cool display, even if you just have this on its own. It's a 7 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 23. Skyhopper's an interesting deep cut, but whoever that is in the pilot seat, I don't understand you, I don't know who you are. But I've never been a huge fan of this ship design, so this is a 4 out of 10. Now this set rocks. Special battle droids, Geonosians, beautiful wings, beautiful turret, beautiful build. This is a 9 out of 10 for me. And the TIE Bomber I'm not too hyped about. The blue tints are very nice on these early TIE builds. The TIE Bomber itself has been sort of a funky, bulky design. So I'm giving this another 4 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 24. While I like the side builds of the Jabba's palace, I don't like the palace itself. It doesn't really resemble much of the actual palace, but I do gotta give him credit for making a sort of Rancor pit trap door, even though there isn't a Rancor in this. But Gonk Droid's goated, so it's a 7 out of 10. And they shockingly cooked with the Hailfire droid. Even though it's mostly Technic, it looks like it fits in with everything else that we have LEGO Star Wars. I give this one an 8 out of 10. And while every ATTE is pretty goated in these ones, these clones are legendary, this one is just the worst ATTE, plain and simple. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets? Ranking every LEGO Star Wars set ever, part 25. Our first ever AT-AT kinda slaps. You get a snow speeder, you get snow troopers, you get Luke Skywalker, and you still get a winch up to the body in the first one you get. This looks pretty dang good. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. Now ain't this cute? I gotta give it credit. The X-Wing, the printed tiles, I love that. The TIE Advanced, not so much. But I'll still give this one a 6 out of 10. The Pod Racers, even though they finally switch over from tan in the middle to these clear transparent pieces, I just don't really care for these. But they do get the job done, so 4 out of 10. But what would you rate these sets?